Good morning. Good Tuesday morning, and welcome to this edition of the LT&A Chatter Project. I am your host, Luciana Turner. I am the founder of the LT&A company, the sponsor of the LT&A Chatter Project, and I bid you good morning. We are a few days into the government fiscal year, so happy New Year's. And we have a great many things to discuss today. As you enter the room, send a greeting. You know how we were raised. As you enter the room, you greet everybody in the room. If you're catching this by the replay, hashtag replay, share this information with someone, business colleague, friend, if you find it impactful. If you feel that there's somebody who may find the content informational, share it with them. If you're catching this on YouTube, because I am streaming this live to YouTube, hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel because I have some master classes coming up soon that will broadcast directly to YouTube. That's the LT&A Contractors Conversation. That's where you'll find me on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel. When I go live, you will catch all my master classes there. Um, I streamed the Chatter Project live to Instagram at the LT&A Consulting Group LLC, the YouTube channel, which is LT&A Contractors Conversation, and I also stream live to Facebook. I have a slew of projects coming up. My updated calendar will be forthcoming soon. I will be posting a link tree to all of my social media accounts, which will include my virtual summit, which launches November 1st. Registration will be opening shortly. We will be discussing how to be a power partner in government contracting. I think that is a very important conversation that needs to be held. People want to be contractors, but they don't know how to be a power partner. And there is something to be said to partnering in government contracting, whether you're a sub, whether you're a prime, whether you're working with other companies, or whether you're working directly with the government. You need to be a power partner. You need to present yourself and your business as a valuable ally and asset in the contracting world. And that is something we will discuss at length during my virtual summit. We will discuss the many ways to partner in power and in strength so that you can be a valuable asset. That way you can scale in government contracting. A lot of people think all you have to do is win the contract and that's it. There's more. You have to perform. And if you don't perform in power and excellence, the contract award can be revoked and the work given to someone else. Oftentimes, you hear small businesses bemoan that they win awards and they don't win a lot of work. Oftentimes, that is because their work does not meet the specification of the government client or the priming company. And oftentimes, they then have to give that work to someone else. And as much as we do not want to talk about it, that is a real problem in contracting. And it's not just a small business problem, but it is a problem. So we want to discuss that during our power summit. So be on the lookout for the registration. You don't want to miss any of those conversations. I am talking to a lot of my colleagues in the industry as we talk about this thing. I'm working on getting some additional speakers. I'm trying to get a government speaker to come in and speak from a government perspective of what they are looking for in their contractors and their contracting officers. So just bear with me as I attempt that. But November 1st is the kickoff for that virtual summit. Registration link will be coming soon. Now, we know the continuing resolution has been passed. The government is funded through December. They're reconciling that monstrosity of a bill. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, that's not what we're going to talk about this morning. I did want to mention that the Pentagon has the Pentagon has introduced guidance along the lines of the COVID vaccine. And basically, what the Pentagon has said, any contract solicitations, awards, delivery orders from October 15th going forward is going to have the vaccine mandate in it. They're just not going to do contract novations for all the contracts that are currently out there. And because that's an administrative nightmare. So anything that comes out from October 15th going forward is going to have the contract language stating your workforce is going to have to be vaccinated. That is how the Pentagon decided to deal with the whole mandates around COVID vaccination. Um, I know on the state level, Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey has issued the following guidance. If your people are working on state site, they either have to be vaccinated or test negative and wear masks. If they're not working on government site, they don't care. That's what those states have done because that's what I've read. North Carolina has done basically the same thing. If you're not on government site, they don't care. If you're on government site, you have to either be vaccinated or test negative. So if you want to get tested weekly, if your workforce want to get tested weekly, then that is an option open to them at this time in those states. I'm not sure what the other states are doing. California seems to be taking this hard line approach, either be vaccinated or not. Florida, as you know, Florida is the maverick state. This is not a political platform, but Florida is really taking a stance of everybody is grown, govern yourself accordingly. Um, Texas doesn't have a mandate. They're basically saying get tested, mask up. So you really just need to work with your contracting officer to see what they're doing on the state level. As we know, the president has issued some mandates on the federal level. New York has taken a very hard line approach to this. I know the federal appeals court has blocked the mandate as far as teachers are concerned with this no religious exemption. So we're going to have to see how that plays out in New York. And if they do it for teachers, it might trickle down. I don't know. The Supreme Court docket came out the other day. They did not hear any of the cases that were put before them. However, we shouldn't celebrate or not celebrate that. They just didn't hear the constitutionality of it because there wasn't a constitutional issue brought up in the cases that were put before them. That does not mean that they're not going to hear it. That just means the arguments that were presented to them so far did not rise to the mustard. And in one instance, they said they had to work its way through the court. You just wasn't going to jump all the way to them. It had to go through the lower courts. With that, work with your contracting officer, see what the guidance is. develop standards and procedures, talk to your workforce, and go from there. COVID, no COVID, we're entering a new world, and your workforce should, your business should be in line to deal with any type of disaster. And, we got hit as a country, got hit by several storms. Having some sort of disaster plan could make the difference between businesses folding or not. So this is a bigger issue than COVID. This is an issue around disaster preparedness and communications. And if you had a plan in place, you could have had a continuation plan. You would have had a way for your business to continue operations in the event of a hurricane hitting. You could have set up operations somewhere else and kept things going. So, yeah, this is a bigger issue than mandates and the like. But as contractors with this particular issue, DOD is saying anything issued October 15th will have that mandate language in it, because they're just not going to do novations for all the ongoing work. With that said, on a lighter note, if you have children that are interested in the sciences, the House actually has a competition. It's the Congressional App Challenge. And if your children are interested in science, you may be interested in your children participating. There's some interesting prizes being awarded to the winners. And it's just another way that the House is spurring interest in our youth in entering the sciences. There is a lot of money in the appropriations bill for research and development. And one thing COVID has done, especially, is sparked an interest in research and development. There are a lot of opportunities out there to search for the next great cure. And I think we as a society or as a world have become comfortable with where we're at, that we forget that there are things, to be melodramatic, lurking in the dark. So, spurring this interest in research and development, new technology, new ways of advancing medicine, medical treatment. They're using, I was listening to a talk last night where they're talking about they're using treatments on COVID patients. Some of the treatments weren't designed to do what it's doing. And this new challenge, I'm segueing, we could be putting our children in a position to develop the next greatest wave of treatments. We watch Star Trek and we watch all of these sci-fi things, but who is to say that our children won't discover the next greatest treatment? Pessimism is there's no money in treatment, but that's because as a society, we don't get behind it. We're complacent. And our complacency says there's no money in treatment. I say there is. There's interest and there's money in whatever we place that interest in. But let me get off my soapbox and get back in that. So I think that's just interesting. I think it's great. So if you have a child or if you know a child that have an interest in science, there's the Congressional App Challenge going on. It's on the house.gov website. Go there, check that out, get your children or your neighbor's children registered and participating in that. We have a couple of industry day events going on. I know of at least 20 but I want to just highlight two. The GSA is having an open house on November 18th. So if you have an interest in getting on GSA's schedule, GSA is actually combining Oasis and a couple of other of their contracts. So if you want to get in there and learn what it is to work with GSA, to learn what it is to create a GSA schedule, you should attend their open house on November 18th. And the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency Leadership Development Program is having an industry day on November 4th. I know that was a whole lot to say, but the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency is having their Leadership Development Program Industry Day on November 4th. So I would highly suggest you register for those. That both events are virtual. So register for it and tune in. We need to get out of this Twitter space where our attention span is only the span of a TikTok or tweet. That is not how businesses run. That is not how actionable information is provided. We need to expand our attention span. A lot of times, good information is given, but because people check out too soon, it's often missed. So we need to go back to the days of where our attention span was longer than a 1-minute TikTok or a 15-second tweet, and hone in, come up with a strategy or plan for how you're going to act upon the information that you're receiving and create or build it into an already existing strategy. So with that, I'm going to wrap up today's session with this. If you do not already have a contracting strategy, I implore you to create one. And I implore you to go beyond the basic of knowing who your client is. I implore you to go deep dive into knowing who you are, knowing what you offer to your client, knowing how you serve your client. I take the stance of who cares who your client is if you cannot communicate what you do for your client. At the end of the day, if I cannot tell you how I serve you, if I cannot clearly communicate to you that I assist you with developing that contracting strategy for scalability and growth, and then I take you through the steps of making a compliant foundation so that you not only win the award, but you retain your earnings, so that you're not only audit ready, but that you're audit successful, then who cares who my ideal client is if I cannot communicate that to you? I implore you to go beyond the surface. And if you need help with that, I implore you to get on my calendar. Have a 15-minute conversation with me to see how I can help you build that out. And with that, I will see you tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m. as I go live for another installment of the LT&A Chatter Project. Have a strategic day on purpose.